On a sweltering afternoon in Indianapolis, when the heat shimmered like a mirage over every surface, 12-year-old Riley Monroe was busy setting up her humble display at the bustling 4th Street Market. Amid the clamor of vendors and the scent of fresh produce, she arranged a few canvases against a weathered wooden crate. Each piece, an explosion of abstract swirls, gentle watercolors, and daring portraits, was imbued with the desperate hope of a soul fighting for survival. For Riley, every streak of acrylic was not mere decoration, it was her lifeline against the relentless tide of a disease that had already stolen more hospital days than any child should endure. Long before the illness had redefined her world, painting had been her secret escape, a private realm where dreams and colors danced freely. But now, with a dire diagnosis of stage 3 lymphoma looming over her tender years, every brushstroke became a plea, a silent declaration that she would not let the darkness win. Her parents, caught in the relentless spiral of mounting medical bills and scant insurance relief, could only watch as their daughter poured her heart onto each canvas. Chemo sessions, brutal and unyielding, transformed even the act of rising from bed into an impossible marathon. Yet here, amid the humdrum of market life, Riley's spirit remained unbowed as she priced her art as though it were her very ticket to hope. Then, just as the day seemed to stretch on in heavy, languid moments, a sleek, obsidian SUV glided to a stop by the curb. From its polished door stepped a tall, impeccably dressed man whose mere presence seemed to recalibrate the tempo of the world around him. His steps were measured, his gaze intense yet kind, and as he ambled toward Riley's modest booth, the marketplace's usual din softened into a collective, hushed anticipation. Riley, so used to quick, indifferent glances, barely looked up, assuming he was merely another passerby drawn to the bright chaos of her display. But there was something profoundly different this time. With a casual yet deliberate motion, the man leaned over, his eyes scanning the canvases with a curiosity that went far beyond mere appraisal. "Did you paint these?" he asked, his voice deep and steady, a tone that resonated like a quiet promise. Riley's heart hammered in her chest as she offered a timid nod, feeling suddenly small beneath his commanding presence. He reached for a canvas awash in soft pinks and purples, streaked with rich blues, a piece born from a fleeting moment of relief amid the relentless side effects of chemo. For a long, charged moment, he held it as though it were a relic of hope itself. A tremor of anticipation ran through Riley as he finally spoke. $30, he said, his voice devoid of any hint of condescension. The price, simple yet significant, hung in the air. But then, as if spurred by a hidden determination, he did not stop at one. Instead, he gently set the painting aside and picked up another, then another, each selection a silent conversation between the struggles of a fragile life and the promise of rebirth. Before long, the market's ambient chatter faltered, replaced by a tangible suspense that rippled through the onlookers. With an almost imperceptible smile, he declared, "I'll take them all." Time itself seemed to pause. The man's hand slipped into his tailored jacket, and with deliberate calm, he produced a slim leather wallet. From it emerged 10 crisp $100 bills, which he slid across the makeshift counter with a quiet certainty. $1,000, for everything, he announced softly. In that instant, the sum, glittering like an improbable miracle, seemed to carry more promise than Riley had ever dared imagine. It was more money than her family had scrimped together in months, more than her tiny fingers had ever held in a lifetime. A ripple of astonishment swept over the crowd. Some onlookers exchanged incredulous whispers, while others offered gentle, fleeting words of encouragement that vanished as quickly as they arrived. One kindly vendor murmured, "Your art is beautiful, sweetheart," though his praise was too brief to bridge the chasm of disbelief. Riley's hands trembled beneath the weight of the moment. Could this distinguished stranger truly see in her work the light she thought had been dimmed by despair? Was it charity, or something far more transformative? Just as she began to gather her scattered thoughts, the man's eyes met hers with a warmth that belied his steely exterior. "I know what it's like to be written off," he confided in a voice so quiet that only she could hear. "When I was your age, I was left in a place where no one believed in me." His words, soft as a secret shared under a starry sky, struck a chord deep within her. For a suspended moment, the bustling market faded away into the background, leaving only the two of them locked in a quiet exchange of kindred souls. As the murmurs around them swelled, a woman in a flowing dress stepped forward, her eyes wide with wonder. "Do you have any more paintings?" she asked, her voice trembling with excitement. In that instant, the atmosphere transformed, a cascade of buyers emerged seemingly from nowhere. A businessman in a crisp suit, a teenager whose fingers flew over his phone, even the fruit vendor from across the street drew near. Cash began to exchange hands with rapid fervor, prices were barely uttered as each canvas was whisked away like a cherished secret. In a matter of minutes, every piece of Riley's art had found a new home, leaving her alone with a bundle of bills that pulsed in her palm like the heartbeat of a newfound destiny. Yet, amid the chaos, the distinguished stranger remained a silent sentinel, observing it all. When Riley's voice, barely a whisper, finally broke the stillness, "Why are you doing this?" He regarded her for a long, weighted moment. Slowly, he traced his fingers along the edge of the painting in his hand, as though reconnecting with a memory. "Because someone once believed in me when the world had already given up," he murmured. His eyes, dark and unfathomable, held a story of struggle and redemption. "I was cast aside in a foster home, overlooked and underestimated, until an art teacher saw the light inside me and refused to let me fade into nothingness." Before Riley could press further, a composed woman in a navy blazer approached him, her tone soft but insistent. "Sir, we need to leave soon." He offered her a small, almost imperceptible nod but remained fixed on Riley. With deliberate calm, he pressed a small, weighty card into her hand, a card unlike the flimsy paper handed out in busy corridors. Its thick texture and embossed silver lettering spelled out the name of his company, Sterling Enterprises. Beneath it, his title and direct contact details were etched, a tangible promise that her art and her future had been seen and valued. Later that evening, as twilight draped the city in a melancholy indigo and the echoes of the day slowly faded, Riley sat on the edge of her unmade bed, the business card resting heavy between her fingers. Her mind whirled with questions. How could someone so powerful, so wealthy, care so deeply about a little girl struggling against a merciless disease? The whispered murmurs of the market still rang in her ears, a strange symphony of disbelief and hope. With each passing moment, the surreal nature of the day sank in. A benevolent stranger had transformed her meager day's earnings into a windfall that promised not only a reprieve from mounting bills but also the chance to nurture her gift. Her mother, Lisa Monroe, entered the room with a cautious smile and eyes full of both exhaustion and wonder. "You okay, honey?" she asked, her voice soft enough to belie the gravity of their situation. Riley offered a small nod before recounting the unbelievable series of events. Between quiet pauses, she explained how a sharply dressed man had not only purchased every one of her paintings for $1,000 but had also shared secrets of his own painful past, a time when no one believed in him until someone saw the brilliance hidden behind his struggle. Lisa's eyes widened as she took the embossed card from Riley's trembling hand. $1,000? And this man, who is he? She whispered, reading the silver lettering with a mixture of awe and trepidation. "He told me to keep painting, that my art is more than just colors on a canvas, it's hope incarnate." Lisa's voice softened as she considered the implications. "This isn't just about money, is it? It feels like something bigger is happening." Riley's thoughts raced. Beyond the immediate relief of covering the next round of chemo and buying more supplies, she found herself imagining a future where her art could serve a greater purpose, a future where other children, locked away in hospital rooms and battling their own demons, might also have a chance to let their talents shine. "What if we organized a fundraiser?" she suggested hesitantly. "A show where kids can share their art and tell their stories, just like I did." For a moment, the weight of her struggle lifted, replaced by the budding thrill of possibility. Later that day, as the hush of evening settled in, Riley's phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. The text read, "Riley, when you're ready, I'd like to introduce you to some people who can help take your art to the next level. Let's talk soon. ZB." Her pulse quickened at the sight of those initials, the same ones that had been spoken softly in the marketplace. Gathering every scrap of courage she had, Riley dialed the number printed on the business card. After 2 rings that stretched into eternity, a deep, resonant voice answered. "I was wondering when you'd call," he said. There was a brief pause before he continued. "When I was your age, I lived in a foster home where no one saw my worth. My first art teacher saw something in me, bought my very first painting and convinced me that I mattered. I know what it feels like to be counted out, and I promise, I won't let that happen to you." Those words, tender yet resolute, washed over Riley like a warm, healing tide. For so long, she had felt isolated in her battle, a solitary figure against a vast, indifferent world. Now, with Zayden's gentle assurance echoing in her ears, the future no longer felt like a bleak, unchangeable fate. Instead, it shimmered with the possibility of new beginnings, of art transforming not only her life but also the lives of others who struggled in silence. That night, sleep proved elusive. Not from worry, but from the overwhelming rush of hope, a sensation so rare and fragile that it lit up every dark corner of her heart. By dawn, when Riley and her mother sat together at the kitchen table counting over $3,000 in earnings, the enormity of the day began to crystallize. "This isn't just luck, baby," Lisa murmured, voice thick with emotion. "It's as if destiny itself has stepped in to remind us that miracles are real." Riley's fingers traced the embossed lettering on the card once more, absorbing every detail of the promise it held. No longer was she seen merely as a sick child selling art on a busy market day. She was an artist with a future, a beacon of hope for every overlooked dream. And as she mulled over the stranger's parting words, "Because someone once did it for me," a quiet determination took root. She would not allow her talent to fade into obscurity. Instead, she resolved to use this incredible turn of events to help others who had yet to be given their chance. In the days that followed, whispers of the miraculous market encounter rippled through the community. Neighbors, vendors, and even casual onlookers recounted the moment with wide-eyed astonishment. One by one, the story of the benevolent stranger and the brave young artist spread like wildfire, a tale of unexpected generosity and the transformative power of belief. The market, once a mundane arena of commerce, had been transformed into a stage where a single act of kindness rewrote fate. As the excitement simmered into a hopeful calm, Riley found herself at a crossroads. The path ahead was filled with uncertainty, yet every beat of her heart now resonated with the promise of possibility. "Would you believe in someone's hidden talent if you had the chance?" she wondered aloud, her voice trembling with both awe and determination. In that moment, she realized that one spark of kindness could ignite a revolution, a movement that might one day uplift countless others who, like her, had been forgotten by a world too busy to notice. So, dear reader, as you ponder this tale of art, hope, and redemption, ask yourself, what would you do if you encountered someone whose quiet brilliance deserved to be seen? Perhaps, in your own way, you might be the catalyst that transforms despair into a masterpiece of hope. If this story has stirred something within you, share your thoughts in the comments below, and consider joining us on this journey of discovery. Subscribe for more stories that remind us all, sometimes, a single moment of genuine compassion is all it takes to change a life forever.